Harlan Hill?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo Scott Brown there. I mean, it was another unforced error from the Trump campaign. I mean, and it took away from Melania. She did a fantastic job. She was eloquent. I mean, very persuasive. I think she's a great surrogate for Trump. Meanwhile, the traditional media is going to be talking about how she may have lifted parts of a paragraph, while, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton's spouse, is a serial sexual predator. So it's just really funny what the traditional media decides to focus on. Maybe she lifted a couple of lines, but Bill Clinton's aggressions are far worse.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's all relative.
I'm not sure how we get from I'm not sure how we get from a convention speech to Bill Clinton in the 1990s. That seems to be a bit of a stretch at best.
No, it's not. It's not a stretch. It's not a stretch at all.
Stretch.
The reason that I'm bringing it up is because I found it
talking about Melania's speech and lifting paragraphs from the First Lady's speech a couple of years ago to Bill Clinton and his private life in 1998.
It was so offensive last night. The immediate response from the traditional media all over Twitter and on the mainstream media on TV, that was all they were talking about, and they took away this great moment from her.
That's insane.
And it's not her fault. It's the campaign's fault. Whoever wrote this speech.
It is the campaign's fault.
But it is so telling what they decide to focus on. It's so telling what they decide to focus on. We're talking about a paragraph within this large speech.
Number one, the campaign reflects the candidate. Number two, people want the Trump campaign wants America to forget all of Trump's indiscretions, being the king of debt, Trump University. They want the media to forget that. But you're bringing up something that happened with Bill Clinton in 1997. That's insane.
Well, that presumes that it stopped in 1997, which I don't think anybody believes. I'm just contrasting the two spouses here.
Hillary Clinton's running for president, and when you're running for president, the same, Donald Trump as well, everything's on the table. And so it's, look, frankly, I don't think it took away from her speech. Ed Renzi, your thoughts?
I don't choose to fix blame. I choose to fix problems. And she's a role model. She handled that speech with great elegance and decorum. She is an immigrant that came here legally. She worked hard. She succeeded. She's going to be a great first lady, and all this peripheral nonsense should be forgotten. She did a great job and says to me, I want her as my first lady.
Yeah, and the whole theme of Make America Safe Again, and tonight Make America Work Again, is a real good idea from a business standpoint. Ed Renzi, having run one of the most successful businesses out there, McDonald's, for so long, what do you want to hear tonight?
We really have a problem in this country, given the unemployment in the African-American community. That level of poverty is going to continue to increase. The school situation, we've got to have jobs, and we've got to have good-paying jobs, and we've got to develop an infrastructure in this country that promotes small businessmen so that they can be successful. Waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to get an inspection for plumbing by a contractor is defeating us. These kinds of regulations and superimposition of people into the bureaucracy is just stifling us.
That's one of his promises, going to roll back regulations.
Yeah, and I love the get back to work theme, and Ed, no one would know that better than you, having worked and created jobs with McDonald's. But when you're looking at the high corporate tax rate, it's the highest in the industrialized world. The regulations that Ed referenced, we need to repatriate that offshore money, get that non-governmental stimulus going, giving people the incentive to actually go out and work and not just stay home and get a paycheck. Those are all things that we're going to hit upon tonight, creating an environment, that regulatory and tax certainty that people need to actually go out and take the chance to create jobs is so critical.
And Maria, Ed's right. I mean, black unemployment right now is almost 15%, twice as high as white unemployment.
Wow.
Black incarceration rate, 5 times that of white incarceration rate. And, I mean, the reality is Hillary Clinton has promised us she's going to give us 4 more years of the policies that led to those failures. Donald Trump's going to reverse it. Jobs are at the root of both of those problems. He's going to stop jobs from fleeing America and bring jobs back to America. And one more, could you ask?
Yeah.
Let's address this black unemployment rate thing for just a second, Marie, if you wouldn't mind. So let's talk about how we got here, right? First, you're right. First, black mass incarceration is very high. I own that. But the reason why is because of the failed war on drugs. So no matter who the candidate is, whether it's Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, if we're not talking about criminal justice reform, eliminating mandatory minimums, and ending the failed war,
by the way.
I agree with. I have said this multiple times. The 1994 crime bill was not a good bill, but the 1994 crime bill was precedent deficit was built upon Ronald Reagan's war on drugs, which was a failed war on drugs. We all know it's failed. Right. It's time to get rid of it. And either candidate, if you're not talking about getting rid of the war on drugs, if you're not talking about rebuilding our roads, rebuilding our schools, rebuilding our hospitals, fixing our broken immigration system, I ain't voting for you. Neither is the American people.
Well, how are we
going to
do that when Hillary's promised us 4 more years? Hillary's promised us 4 more years of what's going on now. What's going on now is terrible.
That's not true. That's not true. Both Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama have called for criminal justice. Can I finish? And Barack Obama has called for criminal justice reform. It's been stalled in the United States House of Representatives. Number 2, Hillary Clinton a couple of weeks ago released a $275 billion plan to rebuild our roads, rebuild our highways. Ed can tell you, you can't build a McDonald's if it's not on a road, and there's potholes on that road. So we've got to fix those roads, and we've got to do it now.
But how do you pay for it, Richard? I mean, that's the question. Raising taxes is not going to. You're going to have to raise taxes, and that's not necessarily going to help an economy.
Then how do you pay for it, Richard?
It's not about raising taxes. It's not about raising taxes, Maria. It's about making the investment. It's about investing in America.
This is double speak.
Gentlemen, thank you. David Wall, good to see you. Richard Fowler, good to see you. Harlan